gosh, when does a girl become a woman?
Stigma is one of the most effective forms of oppression. Why? Because it denies us the vocabulary to talk comfortably and confidently about our own bodies.
Peggy, of course I can't go swimming. You know I've got the curves.
You know about periods? Yes, what about periods?
Periods. A rare topic of conversation, but a constantly prevalent issue. At any given moment, 1 in 7 women are on their period. On average, a woman will have 400 periods in her lifetime. With stats like these, you would imagine that menstruation would be normalized in our society. Yet, girls today still feel shame and embarrassment about their periods. In fact, a staggering 42% of women say they have been period shamed.
Just to go and turn it off, press the red button. When I was working in advertising, I was in quite a senior position. My boss once said to me, when I disagreed with him, "Why are you being so bad-tempered? Are you on your period?"
In a time as progressive as the 21st century, why do stigmas like this still exist?
There was always that kind of dance in the classroom where you have to go into your bag and pull out the little tampon bag. And then there's in the bathroom, what do you do to hide it? And just stupid things like that where it's this is ridiculous.
A girl's first period, or her menarche, begins her physical transition to womanhood. In the last century, due to an overall healthier population, the age of a girl's menarche has dropped from 17 to 12 and a half. This means that girls are looking older faster or looking like a woman sooner. But does this really mark the coming of age?
So physically, I think that it's a long process, so puberty can take many, many years. I think different cultures view when a girl becomes a woman very differently.
For years, girls have been ingrained to believe that their periods are something to hide. We learned in school about how to stealthily ask for a tampon or to keep the self-care bag stored in the bottom of our backpacks. There was no greater fear than to have a tampon fall out of your bag. Perpetual anxiety about a bodily function from such a young age conditions young girls into discomfort about themselves.
It wasn't that anyone told me that you should be ashamed of your period. It was just kind of this sense that no one talks about it, so I should be ashamed of this. And then it was also kind of, I think too, just coming to terms with the fact that I was growing up and kind of that loss of innocence of not being a kid anymore and okay, now I have my period and everyone says you're a woman or whatever when you get your period. And so just kind of being fearful about that, I think, is where most of my shame stemmed from.
Worldwide, there are more than 5,000 slang terms to describe a woman's time of the month. This evasion has saturated the education system as well. Only 21% of elementary schools, 49% of middle schools, and 66% of high schools teach students about menstruation. This lack of discussion in schools only contributes to the societal taboo surrounding periods.
No one really talked about it at school besides sex ed class, and the sex ed class was just super kind of awkward. And so I think that's why I felt embarrassed by it, because just no one talked about it outside of this super awkward discussion with this one adult.
Girls are not provided with sufficient menstrual products in school because tampons are considered a luxury product in 36 states. The school has no obligation to ensure that girls feel at ease with this jarring transition and unavoidable bodily function due to this classification. We don't have tampon dispensers in our own bathrooms. From our class in the Student Center, we have to walk across the entirety of campus to get a necessity. But 14 states are passing laws to require a tampon supply at school, including New York, California, and Illinois. That's just the point though, isn't it? It's 2019, and just more than a quarter of the states are beginning to pass legislation.
We've grown up in a time of liberation for women and have seen changes in politics, representation, and discussion. The fact that the topic of menstruation is still a worldwide taboo is frankly ridiculous. Although we have stigmas in our own community, periods are a much more detrimental fate for women in poorer places. We don't face the same troubles as they do, but their struggles are the exemplification of a still prominent issue. The global systematic oppression stemming from the lack of discussion around menstruation has permeated even our affluent lives. We went into this project with our own experiences guiding our search.
The 4 of us felt the shames and fears that came with periods in middle school.
We thought this was the universal experience for girls of the 21st century.
Yet, we found that great change is coming and it just missed us. 2015 was marked by the media as the year of the period. Companies and celebrities alike spoke out about menstrual inequality, and the narrative is beginning to shift. Girls in middle school today do not feel the same way that we did just a few years before. Young girls feel more comfortable with periods than ever before, due largely in part to social media and the shift in conversation that has taken place online.
Do people act super uncomfortable about them?
No. My friends, like, when they get them, they just, like, tell us and we're like, okay, like, cool. Yeah, no one really, like, cares.
A lot of friends I have gotten their period, so they're always, like, talking about it.
Friends would try to be really supportive and help them when they get their period for the first time.
I have been so kind of surprised by what my daughters have told me and how kind of like freely they talk about it.
With only a few years apart, girls of the 21st century have come of age in a different environment than us. We made this talk with the intention of sharing the youngest generation's take, but we've learned that we are not the youngest generation anymore.
The growing girls today are strong, empowered, vocal young women who are refusing to feel guilty about their bodies in any way. They are the future we wanted to build.